And pay close attention, because right now the most important news in the Americas is a decision made by President Donald Trump's administration. They have designated Nicolas Maduro's regime, the Venezuelan dictatorship, as a foreign terrorist organization. And they have also ordered a total blockade of all oil tankers. This decision also comes at a time when an intelligence report has been submitted to the U.S. Attorney's Office and reveals that Venezuela transferred $7.821 billion in oil revenue to Iran to support its nuclear program and evade sanctions. These funds were allegedly delivered through a triangulation with China. Part of that money, according to the newspaper ABC Spain, which was the newspaper that broke this story, was used to finance political influence, in exchange for Iran allegedly supplying Caracas, the Nicolas Maduro dictatorship, with armed drones and missiles. Amid the military pressure it is exerting against the dictatorship in the Caribbean, Washington is considering new charges against the Nicolas Maduro regime.
US authorities are uncovering the web of an industrial and military alliance between the Maduro regime and the Ayatollah's regime. After the seizure of the oil tanker Skipper, and thanks to documentary and testimonial contributions from former Venezuelan officials, it was discovered that the Nicolas Maduro regime financed the nuclear program of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The report document, which is already circulating through the halls of power in Washington, D.C., details the destination of the money. The projects and funds explicitly linked to Iran. They amount to $4.689 billion. However, to those figures must be added another $3.132 billion from the indirect diversion of resources from a Chinese Venezuelan fund. In total, Caracas would have delivered $7.821 billion to Tehran. According to the Department of Justice report, Venezuela sells and transports Iranian oil. The money from the sale was transferred through opaque mechanisms to state-owned companies, Iranian entities, and organizations linked to the Revolutionary Guard. In this way, Iran managed to sustain its nuclear program and its network of armed allies in the Middle East and Latin America. Iran has been able to maintain its economy under sanctions and finance hostile activities while increasing its political influence. The report states that the alliance between Caracas and Tehran to evade international sanctions has been operating since 2012. The investigation suggests that Iran may have identified alleged uranium deposits in southern Venezuela for its nuclear program, although there is no verifiable evidence of this. In return, Iran pays with armed drone technology, anti-ship missiles, and industrial capabilities for the production of gunpowder, nitroglycerin, and nitrocellulose with technical assistance. Additionally, Caracas would receive compensation to help Hamas and Hezbollah launder money. Former regime officials Hugo El Pollo Carvajal and Cliver Alcalá were the key players in this financial, military, and political alliance. Carvajal and Alcalá were extradited to the United States and are currently cooperating with the authorities, providing information on corruption, drug trafficking, and other activities of Nicolas Maduro's regime.
Let's immediately move on to the analysis of this news with Alejandro Corbacho, who joins us from Buenos Aires, Argentina. He is the director of the Security and Defense Observatory at Universidad del SEMA. He is also a member of NPE, which is global, and an expert in nuclear weapons. Mr. Corbacho, welcome. And I want to ask you very specifically, what are the implications of the Venezuelan dictatorship having financed Iran's nuclear program with oil money?
Well, when you hear this information that came to light through the Spanish newspaper ABC, honestly, for those of us in the region and those of us following the issue, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise. This particular situation has been going on for a considerably long period of time. If you take a moment to look back and conduct a thorough search in the vast expanse of the internet, you will undoubtedly discover that, specifically since the years 2008 to 2009, during the significant presidency of Hugo Chavez, there was a notable and strategic rapprochement with the nation of Iran. Furthermore, one of the most crucial topics extensively discussed during these interactions was indeed the potential for nuclear exchange. And above all else, the compelling idea prominently emerged that Venezuela would reliably supply its valuable uranium resources to Iran. Therefore, this is an issue that has been around for quite some time. Then in 2018 to 2019, there were reports about this program and the danger it poses according to foundations that monitor these issues. And then also the other thing is that the focus shifted more towards oil and oil triangulation and the blockade. Regarding this issue and not so much the nuclear issue, in the relationship between Iran and Venezuela, what Iran was going to provide under this agreement was economic exchange, cultural exchange, and above all, military exchange in matters of defense and security. In these years, during Maduro's time, you can see weaponry, let's say, in the hands of Venezuelans, weaponry of Iranian origin. So the relationship has been very close. A direct line was established, a direct flight from Tehran to Caracas. An acquaintance here recently informed me that in these present times, at the principal international airport in Venezuela, the prominent signage is no longer exclusively displayed in both English and Spanish languages. Instead, it is now predominantly presented in Spanish, Chinese, and Iranian. This significant change, therefore, clearly demonstrates the profound level of geopolitical closeness and strategic alliance that the relationship between these nations is currently achieving and developing.
Alejandro, we also want to know, an intelligence report submitted to the United States Attorney's Office denounces the transfer of $7.821 billion. Do you think that Donald Trump's military pressure against the dictatorship has anything to do with the risk it poses to international security? All those kinds of alliances?
There is absolutely no doubt whatsoever that this situation is profoundly related because it represents a fundamental and undeniable fact. Let's articulate it in some significant way. Using a precise military phraseology, Venezuela has effectively become the primary aircraft carrier, or indeed the strategic spearhead for the influential global powers of Russia, Iran, and China within the critically important Latin American region. Cuba continues to be an important piece for the presence of extra-regional powers, continental powers in the region, but Venezuela's presence not only gave oxygen and saved the island of Cuba during the difficult years after the Cold War, mainly with the significant and crucial help of President Chavez, but Venezuela also serves as a primary and strategic base to finance various operations, facilitate numerous exchanges, and above all, there is a very great and pressing concern about the critical issue of international terrorism. Those who are monitoring this issue, so it can finance or assist terrorist activities, movements of people with Venezuelan passports who could enter and leave countries in the region. So yes, it is a cause for great concern. For example, there is talk of the Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan cartel that has gained notoriety in recent times, which was also supported or financed or backed by the Venezuelan government itself. In turn, these cartels can carry out not only criminal operations, but also political destabilization operations. Hence the term narco-terrorism.
Professor Alejandro Corbacho, thank you for your time and for answering the questions our viewers have during this analysis on NTN 24's news program.
Thank you very much and have a good night.
Have a pleasant night.